Hello, guys, welcome to Module 1 of Design on Steroids. Now, like I told you earlier, Design on Steroids is one course that's going to blow your mind, okay? Right? And by the time we're done with this course, you yourself, you would know that something has gotten into you. Okay, the way you think about design will be different. The way you think about posters, the way you think about handbills, the way you think about letterheads and all that will be entirely different. Your appreciation for design would go up. Okay, and that way you understand the amount of work it takes to put in to produce a good design. Okay, now in this module 1 we're going to be taking introduction to graphic design. Okay, that is where we start from. Now, remember that I said earlier that design on steroids has theoretical aspects, right? Now, these theoretical aspects are the aspects that involves you basically just reading and learning up stuff. Those are like the basics. Now, these are like the background basics of every form of design you want to do. If you miss this, you can go on to produce designs that are good, right? But your designs will just happen by chance. Those your good designs will happen by chance. But then by the time you take into cognizance all we are going to be treating in these theoretical courses, you are going to understand how to make good designs repeatedly. Okay, so this module 1 and we are going straight into introduction to graphic design. Good. So what are you going to be learning from this module? The first thing is, what is graphic design? All right, we're going to cover the topic, what is graphic design, because a lot of people think differently when they say graphic design. Some confuse it for painting, right? Some confuse it for prints, just printing also, right? So once find out what graphic design is, then we're also going to be looking at the specialties in graphic design. Okay, with this skill you've learned, what can you do, right? What areas can you take? What areas can you move into? You know, as a doctor, when you go to medical school and you come out, that's when you realize that this is just the beginning. There are tons and tons of several lines of specialty. There's pediatrics, there is neurosurgery, there's cardiothoracic surgery, there's medicine. Do you understand? So several specialties. Also the same for graphic design. Okay, we have several specialties under graphic design that you can decide to key into. Okay, good. So also, we're going to be learning the elements of design. Elements of design are basically like the basic framework of every design, right? They are the basic things that make up every single design. Now, no design exists without one or more of these elements being in place. No design exists without one or more of these elements being in place. So if you know how to work with the elements, you know how to produce a good design. Also, we're going to be understanding graphic design softwares, right? How they work, okay? Why you use what for what, right? So graphic design softwares are different. So you're going to understand why we are using this one instead of this. Why are we using Photoshop for this particular job? Why are we going to use Corel Draw? Or why are we going to use Illustrator for this particular job? You're going to learn why also. Okay, then you also learn design size for various purposes. Okay, design size for various purposes. Good. So let's get in. What is graphic design? Now, this definition that you have here, right? Graphic design is a process of visual communication and problem solving through the use of typography, photography, iconography, and illustration. This is just long story. This is the definition you see on Wikipedia, right? That graphic design is a process of visual communication and problem solving through the use of typography, photography, iconography, and illustration. But let me tell you something that is very, very important that people miss out. Graphic design is communication. That's what it is. First, okay, it is communication. Okay, when you say visual communication, you now mean you're now trying to qualify the kind of communication. Okay, it is not verbal communication, it is visual communication. Okay, now, and you know how the human mind works. First impression matters. That's what they say, right? Now, the first impression you have of something is what you see. Many a times, when you see something, when you see someone, you start forming an impression in your head, right? Now, that's what graphic design does. Okay, that's what graphic design does. When you have a good impression, when you have a good outlook, you automatically um make a communication, a first communication. And that's why graphic design is important for all businesses. Okay, because it is not just communication, it is visual communication. That first impression is graphic design. Right now, it's the reason why Chicken Republic will charge more than your booker. Okay, because when you just come in, the first thing you are seeing, visual, all neat designs, everywhere is arranged well, everywhere is, that is what they used to bill you. Okay, visual communication, they are trying to appeal to something. Now just look at this. Now, there's a way our African parents usually think, right? Or like, when they see someone with dreads, or tattoos, they automatically start having a particular stereotype around that person. Right, that is visual communication. I don't blame them for that, because it's where they are coming from. I mean, from their own times, right? We all grow into different things, right? So, but that's not the topic. But then, what that means is that immediately they see someone on dreads, immediately they see someone with tattoos, some things start coming to their head. Okay, that is visual design. That is visual communication. So the first thing you should know about graphic design is it is communication. So what that means is that poster you are doing, you are communicating something. That's the first thing you are doing. Now, the mistake most designers make is that they say, "Oh, I want to make a beautiful design." Right? Now that is working backwards, right? Or what they call backwards hustling. No, you ask, how can the message of this design be passed across to the right audience? Okay? How can the message of this design or the message of this job be passed across to the right audience? Okay? Now, I and my friend entered a restaurant recently, and when we got in, the outside has perfect branding, very good stuff. Right? It's a very popular restaurant. A lot of us know it. Right? But then when we got inside, it was no different from a booker. All this roadside, this thing where you have Coca-Cola chairs, Coca-Cola fridge, all those things that they use all those funny looking tablecloths on it. It was no different. And this is a two-story building, kind of a restaurant. Huge, in a very choice location in Surulere. Right? So my point is that we entered there because of what we had always been seeing, right? What we had been seeing from the outside. Really nice. This is a good place for us to eat. But by the time we got in there, we just came out. But the designer or whoever is working on their visual appeal worked, and he did his job well. Okay, good. So when you get a design, the first thing you should think of is, how can I communicate the message of this poster to the right audience? And when you do that, when you think that way, you realize that first of all, there are some texts, there are some fonts that you cannot use to communicate a certain message. Okay, for instance, there are fonts that are serious fonts in quotes, right? You cannot use playful fonts. When you want to communicate to children, you don't use those serious fonts to communicate to children, right? So that's the first thing you must know about graphic design. It is visual communication. Visual communication. So you have to ask yourself, the first question you have to ask yourself is, who am I communicating with? Okay, is it a child? Is it a girl? Is it a boy? Okay, are they football lovers? That's the first thing. And this is what you do for everything: posters, logos, letterheads, everything. Visual communication. Who am I talking to? That's the first question you ask. It is visual communication. Okay. Now, and having said that, that's why you notice that whenever they want to design something for girls, particularly young girls, or females generally, they like using some kind of colors: pink, purple, those kind of colors. Why? Because they know that these colors are colors that have an appeal to females generally, right? You may not like it, but it is what it is, right? Whenever they want to talk about something that has to do with nature, you see them using green, brown, right? That's because that has an appeal that has a nature appeal, right? So that is visual communication. So you ask first, which people is this message for? Okay, Good. That's the first thing you should know about design. It is visual communication. Every other thing is story. The most important thing is it is visual communication. Communication, you are talking to somebody. So you have to find out that person you are talking to, what does he want to hear, or how will he accept my message? Good. Now, having said this, there's usually this myth that we have around, when a lot of people think that graphic designers, or rather good graphic designers, are just creative people, right? They're just creative people. They have what? Creativity, right? But then let me tell you, the best graphic designers understand marketing. Okay? The best graphic designers understand marketing, because graphic design and marketing are basically very, very related. What is marketing? Marketing is getting the means through which you get the message of your brand across to the audience. What is graphic design? Graphic design is communicating to the audience, right? Using iconography, illustrations, typography, right? That is graphic design. So a lot of people think graphic designers are just creative people. That is good. That's on one side. Yes, there's a part creativity has to play, but more than creativity, graphic designers are very good marketers. Okay, they're very good marketers. That's why I get lots of messages from people asking me, "Wow, your copy for PIW was very good. Who taught you how to sell? Who taught you how to write like that?" It's because graphic design already opens your mind to marketing. Okay, if you are learning design, you are learning how to appeal to the end user, right? And that in itself is marketing. So graphic designers are not just creative people, but they are hugely marketers. So while you're learning this, while you're taking this course, it's one thing that I want you to entirely understand, that you need to know marketing. You need to entirely understand the audience of your your work. Okay, good. Now, the specialties in graphic design, right? You could be a package designer. Who are package designers? Package designers are people that make designs for products. Okay, like you can see this now. I don't know what this is. Maybe this is cheese or whatever it is, right? So, for instance, a company comes and they start making Zobo, right? Package designers are the ones that will design the Zobo label, right? Those are package designers. For instance, talking about the mini me chin chin, package designers would design that wrapper of the mini me chin chin. They design the wrapper of Maggie. So those are package designers. Okay, right? Then you could also be a brand identity specialist. Brand identity specialists are people that do logos. They streamline their own specialty to logos, brand identity, letterheads, brand accessories, and all that. ID cards and all that. Those are brand identity specialists, right? So this also tell you that, oh, this is my niche. This is where I've picked. Okay, if you need a logo, you need all that. So this is what I do. Also, you could have illustrators. Illustrators are the people that make cartoons. Okay, illustrators are the people that make cartoons like your Superman, Spider-Man, all those sketches, right? It's a specialty in graphic design. There are people that just do those things. Okay, 2D sketches and all of that, right? Those are illustrators, right? What other specialties do we have? We have web or mobile user interface designer, right? Every single app you have on your phone was first designed by a designer, by a graphic designer, right? Every single app you see, every single website you see, a graphic designer first sat down, made the interface, designed how it would look, and then handed it over to a web developer, right? A web developer or a web designer who then converted those pictures, who then interpreted those pictures into codes, right? So any new website you see out, any new user interface, any new app you see out, a graphic designer was paid for that job, right? A graphic designer was paid for that job. They may not have been the one that coded it, but the interface is always done by a graphic designer. Okay, good. Now, also, you could be a print or a layout designer. This is the one that is very common, right? These are the people that just do posters, handbills, also business cards sometimes, right? They do magazines also. They are print or layout designers. Okay, print or layout. They basically do stuff for prints, right? Good. Now, what I want you to know also is that every design is made up of certain components. Every single design made up of certain components. These components are what we call the elements of design. No single design is made up of anything else outside of the elements of design. Okay, now every single design you see are made up of at least two of the elements of design. Okay, at least two of the elements of design. Every single design you see are made up of at least two of the elements of design. Okay, good. So let's go into the elements of design, also known as the visual elements of design. What are these visual elements of design? That is, what are the things, what are the basic structure, what are the basic frameworks of every design? Now, the first you have is a line. Line, just shortest distance between 2 points. That's what a lot of people describe it as, right? So the first you have is a line, right? Then you have color, okay? Then you have shape, then you have form, okay? Texture, space, and typography. I know you're surprised at space, why space is there. Don't worry, I explained each of these things in the slides. Let's quickly get into them. Okay, good. So let's start from line, right? What is a line? The line is basically is just the simplest element of any design. A line is the simplest element of any design you'd see. Okay, right? It is used for making layouts and demarcations in your design, right? It's also used for showing hierarchy in your design, right? That's what lines do. Now, if you understand lines, you would know when to use them. Okay, so now lines are the basic or the simplest elements of any design. Now they are used for layouts. Okay, you want to lay out a design. Okay, where should this one go? Where should this one go? You can use a line to demarcate. Okay, now they're also used for like I said, layouts and demarcation. They also show hierarchy. Okay, you want to point attention to a particular thing, right? You can use a line to show the hierarchy or emphasis on that particular thing. Okay, use a line to emphasize on that particular thing. Okay, good. Now, like I said, they are also used to show what emphasis. Lines are also used to show emphasis. Good. So what are the types of line you have? We have a straight line, right? Wavy line, okay? We have zigzag line, we have broken lines, curved lines, spiral lines, right? So these are the types of lines. Now you have to know when to use what also in your design, okay? So these are just basically types of lines you can use in your design. Okay, good. Now I want to show you this picture. You see, this picture you see here is I'm sure I put up this picture as part of the dust images. They use the line here, the line under the mark flamed. Now what they are trying to portray here is to show emphasis on the word mark flame. That's what this line is for, right? It has the same color with the mark flames, as you can see, is just under the mark flame to show you that that is the key point of the message. Remember, design is communication. So they are showing you that this is not just any other burger, this is mark flamed. Okay, good. Now look at this picture over here. You have line also, but what this line is used to do here is to demarcate. Okay, this line here is used to demarcate. It's used for layout. Okay, there's a line in the middle between the dates, venue, and all that, and the seminar information. There's a line there, a line in the middle, right? That line there, like I said, is to demarcate. Okay, it's not to place emphasis, it's just to demarcate and make your work neat, right? Good. Also, you can see this if you look at this line here, also is also to demarcate. Okay, the logo goes here, the text goes here, right? All right, the contact details goes here, the logo goes here, right? That's what this line here is for. Okay, if you look at if you look at that graphic designer, there is a line under the graphic designer. It's a thick line. Okay, why that line is there is to show emphasis on that word graphic designer, right? To show that okay, this company is a graphic design company. Okay, good. So you can see in this card now we have lines, but they are used for two different things here, right? Good. Now here, this is a club poster. This is a club poster. If you look around, you see that there's only one line here, and the line is on the dates. They don't want you to miss that date. It's very important. It's not the main theme of the design. The main theme of the design is club party. They want you to know that okay, it's a club party first. But that date, they don't want you to miss the date. Okay, they don't want you to miss the date. Very important. That's why that date is underlined. So here, a line is used to show emphasis. Emphasis. Okay, good. Also here you can see this is another party poster, and you can see there's a line too underneath the same date. Okay, there's a line underneath the same date. The line here is doing two things. One is demarcating, right, and is also showing emphasis on that date. These party people don't want you to ever miss any of their dates, right? That date is very, very important. Okay, good. Now so when talking about lines, what that means is that before you design anything, you have to sit down and plan it. Okay, how do I want to lay out this thing? Okay, then you now argue, this is how I want to lay this out, right? Then you now ask, where should I use a line here in this design? Okay, so now you see that the bulk of work of design is not done on the software, right? It's done outside of your computer. The bulk of the work of the design is done outside of your computer. Okay, everything on the software is just a reproduction of what you've done outside of your computer, right? It's like a farmer going to the farm, right? And then he has his hoe and he's planting. He doesn't just come there and start planting. He has already decided that okay, I'm going to map out this land this way, right? I'll plant this way, right? And I'll do this and I'll put it in a certain segment. This is how many seeds I'll plant in this particular location. All those things he has done it before he's getting to the farm, right? Or before he starts hoeing, right? That's how design works. You don't just go in there, open the app, and then you start designing. No, that's not how it works. You would have planned your design already. When you have an idea of what you want to do, get into the app and start working. Okay, good. So that's that about line. The next element of design, very important, is color. Very important, color. Now I dedicated a whole chapter to color, so I won't be spending so much time on color here. I mean, color is a whole module in this series, so I won't be spending time here, right? So but what does color do? It conveys the necessary emotion to the audience. If design is visual communication, right, that means you are trying to tell the audience something, right? You are passing a message across. A business wants the audience to buy, let me say, they want the audience to buy their Indomie, right? So, and they want this particular set of audience to buy. So, what they do, they appeal to the emotions of the audience. There's a saying that says that human beings buy things emotionally and they justify it logically, right? So we buy things emotionally and then we justify it logically. That's why sometimes you buy, when you spend money on, you spend money that you think is too expensive on shoe, you start telling yourself, ah, but it's a good shoe, it will last, it will last. That is you buying emotionally and justifying it logically. Okay, now I'm not saying that's wrong or not. No, that's not the point of this. I'm just explaining something to you, right? Good. So now it conveys the necessary emotions to the audience. You see, now let me show you something. You can see this color here, bright yellow, right? It sort of brings like some form of warmth to you compared to when we are all dealing with just black and white. Black and white everywhere looks too serious. Can you see this? Everywhere looks too serious, too serious. But by the time we just get to this color slide, immediately everything lights up, right? Everything lights up. It looks a lot warmer, right? Good. And that's why in creating this slide, I ensured that if you look down here, you see ebuka.ng DOS is in yellow. I try to make it not, so there are parts of it I try to make serious, very serious, but then I just try to put in some yellow here and there to create that warmth. Okay, like I said, I'm not going to spend any time on color because color is more or less like the hardest part of design, to be honest, right? It's something that it's you may take a long time before you finally learn it. But like I said, this is mafia design I'm teaching you, right? So there are shortcuts, you could use, okay, to make your color selections very easy, right? So we'll go into color in the other chapter. Color is also used to show emphasis. Okay, you want to show emphasis on a certain word, you just make it a different color from the rest of the text. Okay, now you can imagine. Now you know, I don't know if you've seen. So if you've seen a grayscale picture, that's those pictures that are black and white, so to speak, right? Those black and white pictures. Usually, when you see a black and white picture, the first thing that flashes to your head is the 80s, the 70s. Those are the first in the early 90s, right? Because those were the kind of pictures they were taking in those days, right? Those were the kind of pictures they were taking in those days. So that exactly is what color does. It conveys that emotion, right? It conveys the emotion. So imagine that black and white picture. Now it now has colors to it. You see, it conveys an entirely different emotion. Okay, now I dedicated a whole chapter to colors and we'll talk about that right when we get there. Okay, good. Let's move on. So now the another element of design is shapes. Shapes are another element of design, very important element of design. Okay, good. So shapes are no different from what you already know, right? But they can be divided into geometric shapes or free form. Geometric are those ones that you can see like a rectangle, triangle, all those ones that you can see they are regular, right? They are regular. Those are your geometric shapes. While the free form are those that are just anyhow, so to speak, right? They are irregularly bound. Those are the free form shapes. Shapes are also very important in design. Good. Now the one that you are not expecting, space. The one you are not expecting to be in the elements of design. Yes, space is an element of design, right? Space, as a matter of fact, is a very important element of design, right? Now, if you get space wrongly, you may just end up mining your design, right? It won't be attractive to read at all. It won't be attractive to read at all. All right, so space is a very important element in design, right? I know it sounds funny that space, how can space be an element? But if you know how to use space correctly, you'd realize that it is something that you almost cannot do without in design. Okay? So the good use of space places attention of the audience on the main focus of the design, right? It places the attention of the audience on the main focus of the design, right? If you check out Apple's Apple's designs, you check out Tesla's designs, you realize that they make use of space a lot, right? They make use of space a lot. Okay, so space is a very important element of design, right? It makes your design easy to read, and it also places the focus on the main object of the design, right? An example is the Google homepage. Okay, an example of good use of space is the Google homepage. You know how that Google homepage is, that once you open it, the only thing you see is the search box. Now let me show you what I mean. So you see, this is the Google homepage, right? Once you come here, there's only one thing you can do here: search, right? So the way Google designed it, it made it so easy, such that you see so much space all around everywhere, so much space, right? So when you come, you see Google, you see the search box, you know that there's only one thing you can do, just to type in this search box, right? So that's how powerful space is. This is one of the things that Google implemented in their design that made them overtake a lot of other search engines, because back then search engines would have like news all over everywhere. Here they'll be putting like several funny articles and all that, but Google just simplified the process, just put a simple search bar and made it that easy. Okay, Good. So that's one example of a good use of space. Good. So there are two types of space. You have the positive space and the negative space, right? The positive space is the space covered by the design, okay, while the negative space is the space not covered by the design. Okay, now when looking at this over here, you can say this here is the positive space, where this um the text space is written is positive space. Everything around it you can call it negative space, right? Because it is not covered by the design. Remember, we said that the good use of space helps you to place the focus, place attention of the audience on the main focus of the design. So when you come here, it's only this space you are seeing, this text here you are seeing, right? Every other thing here you are seeing it, but your attention is drawn to this first, right? That's what good use of space does. So we have positive space and we have negative space. So now these are examples. Now you can see this design over here. What you have here is text, very simple minimalistic text here. Then you have an image, and everything here is space. Everything here is space. Everything here, as you can see, is space, right? Take a look at this other design too. Here you can see the text is concentrated at the top here, right? You can see another text is at the bottom here. Okay, I think I should highlight that. This is red. So here you can see there's text here, right? There's text at this place, right? You see there's also another text here. Okay, also another text here. And then you can see that every other thing here, you can see there's a picture here, and every other thing is just more or less empty, right? Just good space. Same here too. These are the text, right? And the rest of the whole image is just space, right? So also the design on steroids poster I put up, you can see it has lots of space. It just has text concentrated at some point, and then it has lots of space. Okay, so another example of good use of space, you usually see it in web design works, right? Like this now. Your attention is just fixed on Lucy, right? You can't miss this Lucy over here, right? And then you look at these bottles next. Okay, so that's how it's been done. They just want to catch your attention. So when you see Lucy, you come up here next, and then you see the bottles. No need for too much text anywhere. Just the images of the space very well. Okay, good. Now, also you can see this other poster here. Somnia, you mean? This is where the main text is, right? Even in the text, in between it, you can see space everywhere, right? Then you see another text concentrated here, okay? And then you see another text concentrated down here. Good. So every other thing from here like this is just space, right? Space. So you have to learn how to use space well. So it makes your text easy to read. It places focus on the main character or the main elements you want your audience to focus on. Okay, good. Now the next element we're going to talk about is texture. What is texture? When you say texture of something, that means when you touch the surface, how does it feel, right? That's what texture means. When you touch the surface, how does it feel, right? It could be rough, it could be smooth, it could be grainy. Do you understand what I'm saying? So that is what you mean by texture, right? That's what you mean by texture. The texture is simply the physical quality of a surface. The physical quality of a surface. That's what texture is, right? Good. Now, texture of a surface can although it can be felt in 3D, it can also be elicited in design. So, like I said, texture is the physical quality. That means when you touch it, how does it feel, right? If you touch a stone or sand, how do they feel compared to when you touch a smooth table, right? How does it feel, right? So that is texture. So for texture, for you to really feel texture, you have to touch that thing, and you can't touch design. So what we do is we elicit it, right? We elicit the texture. You can see this. This sort of looks like metallic over here, right? This sort of looks like metallic texture. This looks like sand or grainy texture, right? This looks like some embroidery texture, right? So you see, like all of these can be elicited in design. Good. So texture is very important. Okay, good. So The next thing we have is forms. We've spoken about shapes earlier on, so now we are talking about forms, right? All right. So what is a form, right? Forms are just basically shapes that have been made to be three-dimensional, right? So a shape is a rectangle, a form is a cuboid. Okay, so when you add depth to shapes, they become forms. Okay, right? So shapes are flat and 2D, while forms are 3D. So this is an example of forms, right? Forms add depth to design. They add depth to design. Good. So next thing you have is typography. Okay, so for typography, I dedicated a whole module to typography. So I'm not going to talk about typography here. It is also called text, just basically text, right? I don't want to spend so much time here because there's a whole lot to talk about. Typography is one of the broadest parts of design also, right? So it conveys the message of the design. Okay, good. So we're going to the part two. We're going to the part two of this course, all right? Now, the part two, understanding the various design softwares. Understanding the various design softwares.